It's the centenary year for the charity, the Royal British Legion, with volunteers across the country back out on the streets collecting donations for the Poppy Appeal, which raises vital funds for the armed forces community. And up and down England, volunteers from villages, towns and cities put on displays ahead of Remembrance Sunday. And here in Knaresborough, the volunteers really have gone all out, with people spending hundreds of hours knitting the poppies that are displayed around the castle.
These poppies represent the history of the people of Knaresborough. The War Memorial has 209 names, family names, and many of those families still live in Knaresborough. And many of the poppies in this display will have been donated by members of those families. I think it's important that we never lose the lessons that history has taught us. And by having a set period each year when we look at the poppies and consider why we use the poppies for so many fallen men, not only in the First and the Second World War, but also in more recent conflicts. These poppies are people, and when you walk around the site, they're donated by families of those people.
There are a variety of reasons as to why members at this branch volunteer for the Legion.
I volunteer because of family history. My grandfather, my father were both in the World Wars. My husband was in the Royal Navy, I was in the Royal Navy. My son spent some time in the army, my daughter had a career in the Navy. My godson has spent 2 tours in Afghanistan. So it's a very personal thing for me that we look after the people who are serving their country.
I did 12 years in the RAF, enjoyed every minute of it, and just think it's a natural progression. I was fortunate the time I was serving, there was no real wars that we were involved in, but I put that down to luck. And there's so many people given their lives, and even now, I mean, people survive. We talk about PTSD and the aftermath of conflict, so I think it's important that we still continue to support people like that who need it as much as anybody has ever done.
There's around 2,500 Royal British Legion branches across the UK, and each one of them makes a real difference.
I feel quite strongly about the British Legion and the fact that we are national custodians of remembrance, so it's our job basically to keep the Remembrance Day alive. But we certainly punch above our weight at poppy time. We have a very active core of people. We're out in the town, we're collecting and trying to do our best. For a fairly small town of only 15,000 inhabitants, we average out about £30,000 each year for the Poppy Appeal, which is a very, very good effort.
Gaining funding this year through the Poppy Appeal has been more important than ever to help armed forces personnel affected by the COVID pandemic.
I think people look at remembrance and look at the poppy as a symbol of remembrance, and it's been part of the fabric of our society really down the years. It is a symbol of hope, it's a symbol of remembrance, and it's a symbol of hope for a peaceful future as well. And I think people have been looking for something like this since COVID came along, and of course it's never been more important than it is this year because of COVID. We've had a big increase in calls at the Royal British Legion from veterans and their families who are struggling this year with new and more complex issues, particularly around social isolation, homelessness, lack of funds, people who are struggling to find employment, people who've maybe never come forward for charitable help before, but they're coming forward this year. So this year more than ever, every poppy counts.
Around 700 people are expected here at the Remembrance service on Sunday to remember those that fell for us in World War I and World War II, but also to thank the current serving armed forces members and those before them for protecting Britain and our freedoms. Anna Riley in Knaresborough for GB News.